So, Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth is defending himself again over a New York Times report claiming that he shared sensitive military plans with his wife, his brother, his lawyer. Another signal chain. He defended himself while he was at the family White House. He was at the White House Easter egg roll yesterday. Take a look.
This is what the media does. They take anonymous sources from disgruntled former employees, and then they try to slash and burn people and ruin their reputations. Not gonna work with me. This is what we're doing it for. These kids right here. This is why we're fighting the fake news media. This is why we're fighting slash and burn Democrats. This is why we're fighting hoaxsters. Hoaxsters. This group, no, this group right here, full of hoaxsters.
Does that mean they're hokey? I don't know what a hoaxster is.
Hoax.
But that's okay.
What's a hoaxster?
I think it's someone who...
Not a hooker, a hoaxster.
Yeah, I think it's someone who plays tricks on people, hoaxes.
I've never heard of that.
I've never heard of a hoax. You made that up. But there are reports that the Pentagon is in chaos and his days could be numbered. But the White House says, no, they're behind him, kind of. Where do you see this going? I'm going to ask you because
you know it.
In that clip, he said, you know, these fake news reports from anonymous sources. Well, one of his senior aides, John Ulliott, who I actually worked with, he was at the NSC when I was at the White House, penned an op-ed in Politico saying the Pentagon is in chaos. I respect Pete Hegseth, but he needs to step aside. He put his name to it, which I give him a lot of credit for. Listen, this individual was always underqualified for this role. Yes, he served our country in uniform, but he did not have the years of experience it takes to run this big of a department. And the cracks are showing, and there are going to be more stories like this. And what I would say to people, whether they support the president or don't, national security is above politics. You should want the most qualified person in this role. And I think of when I was working at the Pentagon, there were days that I couldn't tell Justin what I was doing at work because it was classified, because I was working on something that was sensitive. That was just a simple agreement, and my role was not nearly as sensitive as this individual. He just seems to lack this sort of judgment. And there are people who are eminently qualified that could do this. I think of Senator Joni Ernst on the Armed Services Committee. If he wants a Fox News personality, General Jack King, a retired four-star general who supports Donald Trump but is qualified to run the most powerful military on the planet. I think that people smell blood in the water. Advisors are going to get to Trump and say, this guy is too big of a distraction and his days will be numbered.
But Trump has been saying that it's a big nothing.
I think he wants to get through the first 100 days, and then I think he's...
It seems like...
Aren't we through the
We're
first
not
100?
through the first 100 days.
No. There's more to come, love.
I don't get
Guys, it's like a period.
I don't get the impression... I don't get the impression that Trump even knows what goes on in these signal meetings. It's like Hegseth's wife knows more than the president.
Well, that's the thing is this was a concurrent message. The message that we talked about when I first saw this news story, I thought it was like a more recent one. This was a concurrent signal chat happening between his wife, his brother, and his lawyer.
And his orthodontist.
Well, and you have to ask yourself, why would someone do that? And the only thing that could come to, I guess, a reasonable mind is you're trying to say, look at my big job. And if you're looking for something like that, you should probably be like a press secretary or someone in front of...
in this
or go back to being a Fox News host,
well, because
which is
the
what
number,
he was doing.
when he eked by, remember that J.D. Vance had to give the final vote tie break for Pete Hegseth. The big concern was his lack of judgment and his qualifications. And I think, like you said, the cracks are showing. Because this is an instance where he's trying to say everyone's a hoaxer and this is fake news. You got to know the difference and be able to discern between people coming after you for just a nothing burger and national security. Like, what he's holding on to puts people's lives at stake. It's everyone that's out in the field.
This one? Was it?
Well,
Goldberg wasn't in on this one.
No, I didn't do it.
But they just recently had 2 people or 3 people that were fired with no explanation, and 2 of those people were on this signal chat.
And they admitted it, that he started the chat. I had the same kind of reaction that Alyssa had because I was a lowly federal prosecutor, and I would present things in front of the grand jury, which are secret proceedings. My friend is here in the audience saying yes, you know, under Rule 6E. And Manny would say, hey, what'd you do today? I couldn't say, oh, well, I was in front of the grand jury with somebody that's in the WITSEC program, and I said this, I asked these questions. Like, you would lose your job for something like that, someone even at that level. So that in and of itself was just such a breach of decorum and national security. But the other thing that I thought of, to your question, Joy, which is, Trump seems to be behaving as if this is nothing.
Yeah.
There's quite a double standard because he's standing by Hegseth, but if you remember, he sang a different tune when he called for America's first black defense attorney, Lloyd Austin, appointed by President Biden in 2021, to resign after he failed to disclose that he had undergone a surgical operation to treat prostate cancer, and he was kind of gone for about 4 days. I'm not saying that that was good either, but I don't think those two things are the same because Trump said Austin should be fired immediately for improper professional conduct and dereliction of duty. If that was the case then President Trump, that's the case now. That's the case now.
Good luck with that.
But Pete Hegseth himself said in 2016,
yes,
any security professional, military, government, or otherwise would be fired on the spot for this type of conduct when it came to Hillary's emails.
Yeah.
So again, it's an inconsistency, it's a hypocrisy, it's a double standard.
Where are the Republicans in Congress, though? They should be opening their mouths.
I think they're
starting
starting
to.
to. Don
Some
Bacon
are.
from Nebraska has called for him to resign. I think some others are going to start to step up.
Some are.
Well, you know, double standards have not changed.
No, and
Double
hypocrisy is
standards
alive and
are
well.
still double standards, and they don't sit well with anybody. So we're going to keep watching, but I just want to commend the people of the United States. I want to say thank you for still getting up and getting out over the weekends and protesting
Oh, yeah.
and making your voices heard.
That's right.
I want to thank you for that. I want to thank you for not being afraid to say we are not happy. And it's both sides. It's Republicans, it's independents, it's everybody. It's American citizens saying there's something wrong here and we don't like it and we're not standing for it. And I just want to say thank y'all, because that's what it's gonna take.